Hi guys, and welcome to episode 23 of the Spfl RTG on FC25, and today's a very special episode because it is the day that we begin the challenge with the 12 teams being represented for the weekend league, and that includes us completing a challenge that we set at the start of the RTG. So we've got Rangers represented by Butland, St Mirren with Mono, Motherwell with Casey, Rubezic for Aberdeen, Penrice for Hearts, Trapanovsky for Dundee United, Carey for St Johnstone, Randall for Ross County, Jota for Celtic, Campbell for Hibs, and of course Danny Armstrong for Kilmarnock, with Mo Silla on the bench. And the only rule throughout this weekend, apart from having to use that team, is that every time we make a substitution, we have to sub on Mo Silla to get those 12 teams represented. But without further ado, let's get into our first game of the weekend league. I also wanted to keep track of how many teams I score a goal with as well. So here's our first goal of the weekend league, scored by none other than Kilmarnock's Danny Armstrong. So that's Kilmarnock checked off the list for clubs that we've managed to score a goal with this weekend, and it puts us 1-0 up in our first game of the weekend league. Graham Carey picks up the ball. It is intercepted a little bit, but not enough to stop it from getting through to Armstrong, who lays it off to Trapanovsky, and that's Dundee United checked off the list, and it puts us 2-0 up in this game as well. Nice easy start to the weekend league so far. Trapanovsky gets a throw in, Casey down for Bomono, back to Trapanovsky, who picks out Armstrong, lays it off to Campbell, bit of composure, fires it into the back of the net, and not only do we win our first game 3-0 because that guy rage quits, but we also check Hibs off the list as well. So 1-0 going into our next game, which bit of a stronger team than we came up against last time. That front three is pretty terrifying, for example. And unfortunately for us, this game doesn't quite get off to as good a start as we had in the last game. Palmer hits it and it goes into the back of the net. Maybe Butland should be doing better there, but we know by now what to expect from Jack Butland. Unfortunately, with the recent few videos, he's in desperate need of an upgrade, but we can't do anything about that without a goalkeeper evo or without a goalkeeper being heroic in real life and getting another inform. And unfortunately, we do go 2-0 down. Kenny Dalglish fires it into the back of the net. Not even 11 minutes played, and not even 12 minutes played yet. It is about now. We do find ourselves 3-0 down. Sawa fires it into the back of the net. Oh dear, not the start we would have wanted to this game, unfortunately. And while we tried to go up the park and get ourselves another goal, or a goal to get back into the game, unfortunately, we do find ourselves another goal behind, 4-0 at this point, and we get gridded on, which is always nice, isn't it? We do manage to break up the park and get ourselves back into the game. No, Conor Randall picks up, looking for some space, gives it away to Campbell, who skips by DeMarco and fires one into the back of the net for 4-1. Is the comeback on? That's the question. We do look to try and make it 4-2 with Trapanovsky trying to get forward. Unfortunately for us, we do get tackled by DeMarco, who feeds it forward, and I don't know what Dan Casey was doing there, but Dalglish just skips away and makes it 5-1. And the goals in this half are not quite done yet. We try and go forward with Jota, looking to see if we can pick out someone. We give it back to Randall. Jota there gets a huge slice of luck from Thuram, and Campbell fires into the back of the net, but it's not a new club, so at the moment it's just Kilmarnock, Dundee United and Hibs that we have represented for goals so far. And the first half still isn't finished, and the goals in the first half are not finished either. Cole Palmer fires into the back of the net once again. Butland from that angle, beaten by Cole Palmer. Not great on his part, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And we are still in the first half, 6-2 down, and he's not finished yet. Bomono, just like he was running through quicksand there, cannot catch up. And it's 7-2 before half-time. Not a great second game. Maybe should have practiced a bit more with the team before going into the weekend league, but however, we do make it 7-3 just before half-time. Campbell lays it off to Armstrong, who fires into the back of the net, but not a new club yet for us to score a goal with. Into the second half now, we look to try and find Kenny Dalglish. We pull off the interception. Armstrong skipping away from the defender, through for Campbell, who, for his hat-trick in this game, lovely dink over Van der Sar, but again, unfortunately, not a new club for us to have scored a goal with yet. We do look to try and carry the momentum forward and see if we can get back into this game though. Graham Carey for Trapanovsky gives it to Armstrong, and he threads it through for Campbell again, who, even though we've had a bad game, has had a really solid game himself. And we look to make some subs. As you can see, Gary Mackay-Steven on the ball, fed through from Mo Silla. Not a good pass from me though. He fires it through to Di Natale, and Bomono can't get the interception done there. Gives it to Sawa, who times the pass perfectly as it seemed, otherwise he would have been offside. And Di Natale fires into the back of the net to restore the momentum back to their side. Unfortunately, our comeback attempt was a little bit too late. We did start to come back into the game a little bit, but the damage had been done in the first half. And he increases the damage further, making it 9-5 just before the end of the game. And we are 1-1 with the SPFL RTG going into our third game against this team. So it doesn't get any easier. Same OP formation, but the front line just as deadly. We do take the lead in this game though. Graham Carey feeds it through for Danny Armstrong, creates himself a little bit of room, gives it back to Graham Carey, finds Trapanovsky, who fires into the back of the net. But again, no new club on the score sheet just yet. Our lead does not last long, unfortunately, though. Harry Kane feeds the ball through to Cristiano Ronaldo, and Butland, come on, mate. That one is ridiculous from you. We do look to try and get our lead back pretty quickly, though, but we misplace the pass. Mendy fires through to Ronaldo. Elise turns, gives it to Garincha, and Rubezic, don't know what happened there, just completely left the ball when you gave it to Harry Kane from that far out, and you're going to concede a goal. We do try and get back into the game then, as you can see, a couple of block shots from Jota. He's got Makalele on the ball now. We do intercept it. Jota breaks forward, looks to pick out Graham Carey with the pass. He gives it to Trapanovsky, and almost identical to the first goal. We're back in it, 2-2. We intercept it, but he immediately wins it back with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Gives it to Elise. Ronaldo feeds it through to Harry Kane. Pretty terrible defending on my part, just to pass it right to Garincha, who lays it off to Kane, and 3-2. Totally my fault. Two of these goals, well, all three of the goals, I mean, questionable. Either from me or from the game standpoint. We're into the second half now. Graham Carey, lovely feet, La Croqueta, and he adds St Johnstone onto the score sheet for the weekend by making it 3-3 in this game. Lovely bit of footwork there. He heads it onto the bar. We can't clear our lines. Again, shooting myself in the foot in this game. Gabriel should have tackled him maybe 2 or 3 times there. Block goes right back to Ronaldo. I mean, you know, the calibre of goals I've conceded in this game is ridiculous. And then I'm not helping myself again with a pass there that was just totally never on, and he scores with Kane to make it 5-3. We do end up making it 5-4 though. Jota feeds it to Penrice, who skips past his man, does well to create some space, fires it across for Campbell, who gives it to Carey, skips into the space and fires into the back of the net. 2 goals for him in this game, but it's not another club to add to the score sheet just yet. And we do get the equaliser as well after a couple of substitutions. Tony Watt gives it to Gary Mackay-Steven, who then feeds it back to Tony Watt, gives it to Danny Armstrong, and uses that finesse plus to make it 5-5. No more than I feel as though I deserved from this game. The goals I've been conceding were either from my own making or the game just doing me over, I think. However, he does feed it through to Ronaldo with Elise, and he hits it first time, and Butland just falls down. And unfortunately, the game does finish 6-5. That was definitely a game I felt like I should have been winning. The goals I gave up were just not good enough at all. On to this one, change of formation, but the calibre of the team doesn't get any easier, and we do concede immediately. A couple of times the ball bounced back to him. Hulick gives it to Zidane, and no complaints about the finish there. However, luckily for us, we bounce back immediately as well. Jota on the ball, little bit of close dribbling, gives it to Josh Campbell. Again, close dribbling, Trapanovsky back to Campbell, and he's been the player of the weekend so far with his performances, it seems like. And we're still really early on in the game. A free kick has been given away. Not actually too sure what for. I try and get Trapanovsky across to block the pass, and then Raul just turns and finishes into the back of the net. Not great start to the game after we fire back immediately. Trapanovsky tries to get through, tackled far too easily. Hulick gives it to Raul. Not great defending on our part again, but Raul just skips away. Again, maybe Butland should be doing better there, but it is fired through his legs. And we're now finding ourselves 3-1 down in the game. Not good at all from our point of view. At this point, I'm pretty frustrated with my own performance as well as how the game is going. And Hullet makes it even worse. 14 minutes in, 4-1. We're down. Unbelievable. We're trying to get back into the game, everything we can do. We get tackled in his box. They look to break quickly. Hullet over the top for Vinicius Jr. Bomono tries to get something in, and Butland, I don't even know what he was attempting there. But Vinicius Jr. makes it 5-1, and we're not even 20 minutes into the game. We do look to bounce back straight away and see if we can get the deficit down to 3 goals instead of 4. Armstrong gives it to Campbell, who continues his hot form of the weekend and fires into the back of the net to make it 5-2. And then only a few minutes later, we do some slick passing around. We do get tackled, but we win the ball back immediately after a poor pass. Armstrong threads it through to Jota, who does a lovely chip over Van der Sar and adds Celtic to the clubs of goal scorers at the moment. So Kilmarnock, Dundee United, Hibs, St Johnstone and Celtic all on the score sheet. And then Campbell again adds another goal to make it 5-4 in this game, continuing his hot form of the weekend, like I said. Can we come back even before half-time after being 5-1 down? Trapanovsky gives it to Campbell, back to Trapanovsky with a 1-2, and we can indeed make it 5 each before the break. Half-time, I'm feeling pretty good about myself with that comeback. Bomono bombs down the wing, skips away from Mendy. He's looking for an option, turns back inside, gives it to Armstrong. A little bit unfortunate with the finish, it has to be said, but we do take the lead in the game for the very first time. Great comeback completed. However, as I'm sure you all know with how FC25 likes to go, if you do manage to take the lead, it's like the momentum swings and Zidane just fires it into the back of the net to make it 6 each in this game. What a game for the neutrals it has been. We're looking to pause and get a substitute done. Hullet fires it through to Vinicius Jr. My defence kind of partied like the Red Sea there, and he gives it to Raul, and he retakes the lead 7-6. We make some changes, of course, bringing on Silla and a number of other substitutions, including Kevin Nisbet, who fires it through to Danny Armstrong. A little bit fortunate to not get tackled there, feeds it through to Kyogo, and he equalises, making it 7 each. I'm sure Celtic fans will feel weird about seeing Kyogo in a Rangers shirt, but it's what it is. Gary Mackay-Steven gives it to Kyogo. He's looking to create some space, gives it to Danny Armstrong. 1-2 with Nisbet, skips away from the defender, and a little bit of composure, waiting for the goal to move, and we retake the lead 8-7 in the game. What a game this has been. He had a corner, we get it up on the counter. Nisbet gives it to Penrice, who uses that playstyle plus to bomb away from a slowing down Sol Campbell. Great pass inside for Kyogo. Again, he moves the goalie, and we finish the game off 9-7. Now, he did end up scoring another one late on, but we never got the footage for that one, and we won that game 9-8. So we're 2 wins, 2 losses going into the final game. We probably should have won the game beforehand as well. 4-4-2. That front line scares me, though. Kenny Dalglish and Luis Suarez. Thankfully, it isn't the evil Luis Suarez, or it could have been even worse. However, after some back and forth in the game, it took 25 minutes for the deadlock to be broken, and Danny Armstrong is the one to find the back of the net first, putting us 1-0 up in this game. Trapanovsky, a few minutes later, picks up the ball, gives it to Campbell. Armstrong finds himself a bit of room and fires it into the back of the net for 2-0 in this fixture to put us positive after the first 5 games, hopefully. Campbell, nice bit of ball control, gives it to Armstrong. I tried to give it back to Campbell, but it fired out wide to Penrice instead, so I use his playstyle pluses to skip away from my man. Jota gives it to Armstrong, and he gets himself a hat-trick to not quite put himself into the frame for player of the first 5 games, because I think Josh Campbell has got that decided, but Armstrong was looking to make himself the man of the match here. A bit of fortune there, giving the ball back to Jota, who fires it into the back of the net for 4-0 in the second half, and then we look to kill the game off by making it 5-0 with Jota giving it to Armstrong. Campbell, again, a little bit fortunate to skip away from his man, bit of composure though. Goalie moves, Campbell fires it into the back of the net, and that was enough for him, and we win the game 5-0. So We finish the first 5 games with a record of 3-2. Probably should be 4-1, and potentially could have been 5-0 if we hadn't had that flurry of goals conceded in the second game, where we started to come back into it a little bit, but it was too little too late at that point. Of course, we've had a few significant evolutions drop yesterday, most specifically being the Becoming Immortal one. You'll see in the next video who I've chosen for that, and I'll give you a little peek of the main squad as well. I'm only going to show the last 5 games, I think. I'm not going to show the middle 5 games, so I'll play those off camera with the team. I'll maybe record any highlights for it that I see fit, to any good goals and stuff like that. As well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you're new around here, please subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, and like as well, and check out the other content on the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you later on.